All right, the object here is to locate buttons so that you can modify their behavior. How do you do it? Because there's a lot of them. Let's try the skip button, which I've already clicked down here. You see the skip button down here? And that is the widget skip this with a capital T. Now, so it's been clicked, so over here in the right-hand panel, there it is. Its ID is skip this. That's the name it will have inside the program. The location, there's nothing especially here on the fact it has the word skip in it. You could change the word if you wanted a different one in here. Where it's located, X and Y locations in the fixed container it's contained in. I'm not sure what it is right now. You could look it up over here by scanning up. Common information, there's a tooltip. There's an indication of the CSS code that will be used to paint it, and that CSS code is found in the directory CSS, and it will be, this one, it will be in gtk.css, and look for the label minor button, and it will give the CSS code that's going to be used to paint the button. Nothing else down here is, everything else is a default. Then over in signals, the clicked signal, which is the normal signal we worry about in a regular old button, GTK button, is on skip this clicked. On skip this clicked. So where is that? Okay, well, we need to go into the directory, and do I still have it up here? Well, we start at the top here, and this is the top level. Go to SGR code, and then go to common code. It's code which is shared by both the Windows and Linux version, even though the Windows version is not currently being worked on. Open a terminal in that window. Here's a terminal that's in that directory. And you can see it's there. It's SGR code common. And do a grep skip this. Notice it has to be a capital star. And you'll find all the locations in code where skip this was used. And there's several out down here, but the one I'm interested in is right up at the top here. It's a function on skip this clicked. That's the signal handler. The other ones down here, there's a flag with the same name. There's the actual widget. It's also this externs with skip this. Let's see, this is where the object is picked up from the resources, from the Glade resource, and there's also where it's basically declared. All right, so anyway, the one I want is on skip this clicked, which is in common compiled code.c. Common compiled code.c. All right, and do a search. I'm in VI, so / skip this, and there it is. There is the signal handler. Doesn't do terribly much. It sets up flags. That's another flag. Blanks out the current play field. If the gain control is turned on, it resets it back to its defaults. And if the rate of play has been altered, it resets it to 1, not fast, not slow, but the normal rate of play. And that's it. All right, so that's how you found it. If somehow you wanted to change how it was, how it behaved, this is where you would change it. What are the other locations here? The next one is in, well, let's go to widgets. Common widgets. I'm hitting tab, as you probably know, and say skip this. That's where it's declared. It's declared to be a pointer, and the pointer has got the same name as the Glade ID. All right, doesn't have to be, but I try to do that in most cases. Skip this, so that's where it gets declared. What's next? The objects. Hopefully these are common objects. These are all consistent for all the buttons, not entirely, but for the most part they are or will be. Things do get changed. Okay, there is where the pointer, skip this, gets its value. And it gets it by invoking GTK Builder, which fetches from the Glade, from a parse of the Glade file, the information about the skip button. Now, in the quotes here, I have to use the Glade ID. All right, so that's the Glade ID, which is skip this. It's also the same name I use for the pointer. To keep it simple, I try to use the same In some places it won't be, but this is the name of the pointer. The one at the end here is the ID name in Glade. They don't have to be the same. But anyway, that's how you get it. And it returns to me a pointer to the data structure, which contains all the information I need to know to how to paint that button and where to put it. And I cast it to be a widget, because every skip this was declared to be a widget. Most things are just cast to be widgets and then cast to be their particular identity when they're used. All right, so most things are actually just plain cast. There's some things that are not cast to widget, but most of them are. Even though skip this is more than a widget, it's a GTK button, but a GTK button is also a widget at the base. So I just use, and most people I think just use widgets and then cast it as appropriate. All right, so the next one is common dash externs. Since these things are used in a bunch of different programs, they need to be global. These are the extern declarations for the pointers. Many of the widget pointers are declared to be extern so that they can be seen by other programs without being passed as formal parameters. It's messy, but it works. All right, so that's the third place it occurs. Next place it occurs, that css.h is commented out, so we're not going there. Let's see, we've done the externs, the objects, the widgets, and tooltips. Tooltips, slash skip this. And there's, there's two sets of tooltips here. One is, has tooltip, and it'll be here is false, meaning it doesn't have a tooltip, which means if you mouse over it, you won't see anything. The other location down here is, yes, it does have a tooltip. If you mouse over it, you will see the tooltip. This can be turned on and off by a checkbox in the program. When you turn it on, it goes down and sets all these tooltips to true. When you unclick it, it sets all these tooltips to false. In other words, it enables you, when you're using the program, to turn on the tooltips or turn them off. Sometimes they're a real nuisance. I've tried to, in the program, instead of writing a separate manual, tried to put all the information in tooltips. But as a result, you may not always want to see them. So this is a function, the Tooltips Functions, which you see these are all the false, these are all the turnoffs, and the function is called Tooltips Toggled. That's the actual checkbox. And when the checkbox gets toggled, you will either set the tooltips to false or set them to true. Okay, so that turns off on the tooltips, and that was it. That's everything there is to know about the button skip. Okay, it's a simple toggle, a simple button. It's not even a toggle. It just has an immediate action. It tells the program to skip the current media item being played and move to the next. Skip plus plus tells it to skip not the current one, but the next one. So if you're playing song A currently and song B is queued up, and behind song B is song C, if you click skip plus plus, it will move song C into B's position, and B won't be played. Actually, B is still there, it just marks it as played. So when A finishes, it will skip B and move right on to C. So that's what skip plus plus. It's comparable to skip, but it just sets a different flag internally. Okay, so that should give you an idea how to find most of the flags. Most of the buttons, most of the widgets. There are some that are more complicated than that, and I'll do that in the next video.